Ty West as a director has earned my respect and then some over the past couple of years. Only he could get me invested in a sexually frustrated old woman who goes crazy and starts killing people. Only he could get me even more invested in that same woman's twisted Technicolor origin story. What Ty West has managed to do with these movies so far cannot be understated. From the moment that I experienced X and Pearl, I could not stop gushing about them because of how unique they felt to me. So much so that I was absolutely blown away by both of them. So needless to say, because of all of this, the third entry in this franchise, Maxxxine, was easily one of my most anticipated films of the year. But the real question is, does it live up to the hype? Well, more than anything else, I can tell you one thing about Maxxxine. It's definitely not what you think it is. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
So I've already seen a lot of people bitching about this movie and complaining that the trailers misrepresented it. A lot of people seem to be going into Maxxxine under the impression that it is a homage to 80s slasher films. The truth is, I think a lot of people are just seeing what they want to see in the advertising. Because at no point during the trailer did I get that impression personally. It simply looked like a continuation of Maxxine's story, with the possibility of a real-life serial killer being added to the mix in some way.
That makes sense.
I don't know why anyone would expect Ty West to spoon-feed everything to you after X and Pearl. For both of those films, I went into them knowing very little about them. And I do believe that in the end, that did help to improve my experience. So I think a lot of the complaining around Maxxxine right now has more to do with people being programmed by trailers that reveal too much than it does Maxxxine itself. I'm going to be very clear, if you intend to watch Maxxxine, then you need to go into it with an open mind. You have to be prepared to have your expectations somewhat subverted, but not in a bad way. Maxxxine takes place in 1980s Hollywood, where adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minx finally gets her big break. However, as a mystery killer stalks the starlets of LA, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. So right off the bat, the horror elements of this film and things like the Night Stalker are used as nothing more than a backdrop for this story, for Maxxine's story. This movie is more about her struggles to break into the movie business and become a star than anything else. In fact, one could say that the entertainment industry itself is the true villain of this movie. Like Pearl before her, Maxxxine has become obsessed with the idea of being famous and getting everything that comes along with that. And she very much has to pay her dues and make certain sacrifices along the way. I think this year in horror will be remembered more than anything for having movies like Maxxxine and Late Night with the Devil that didn't hold back when showcasing the dark side of Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, baby. Who knows what's gonna happen?
The worst part of all of this is that even when Maxxxine finally gets her break, she finally gets her opportunity to shine, things are still getting in the way. Most notably, there is a killer on the loose who is starting to kill people that are close to her. Now, the biggest thing I appreciated about this movie is how the events of X and what Maxxxine survived sticks with her to this day. Not only is she understandably still shaken by the events that took place on Pearl's farm, she has also become somewhat hardened by it. Plus, we have this mysterious figure in this film who is threatening to expose what happened. And this could potentially ruin Maxxine's career before it even gets started. This cannot be overstated enough because I have seen some people claim that Mia Goth is overrated. This tends to happen when someone bursts onto the scene in the way that she has. But like the character she is playing, Mia Goth is a f***ing star, and that's not up for debate.
No, I'm a star!
She has the acting chops, she has the screen presence, she has a unique look about her, and all of this contributes to her and her talents elevating the material. I do not believe that these movies would be as good as they are or as memorable as they are without Mia Goth. And I do think that it's time for more people to put some respect on her name because she deserves it. Now, she doesn't quite have another monologue scene like she did in Pearl this time around. Her performance is a bit more subtle in Maxxxine, but that doesn't mean there weren't moments throughout this film where her acting once again genuinely impressed me. The opening scene in particular, where Maxxxine goes on an audition and does a line reading, is particularly memorable. So yes, once again, Mia Goth is carrying this movie from an acting perspective. But it should also be noted that her supporting cast this time around is nothing to balk at either. We have the second appearance in a film in 2 days of a villainous Kevin Bacon.
Fuck you!
And we also have Gan Carlo Esposito, who is a scene stealer in Maxxxine. He doesn't have a lot to do, but he does the most with what he is given, and this is a character that is a little bit outside of the box compared to what we are used to seeing him play. As for the horror elements, the violence, while it's not the main focus of the film, it is still on display and it is still effective. You will get all the stabbing, ball crushing, body smashing action that your average horror fan will enjoy. A surprising amount of time in this film is spent pulling back the curtain and revealing a little bit about the interworkings of how things work in Hollywood. You get Ty West delivering a little bit of commentary about what it's like to be an artist in this industry where capitalism and commercialism is everything.
Message!
And that's also what makes the 80s such a brilliant time period for this story to take place in. And make no mistake about it, the 80s vibes of this film are turned up to 11. Everything from the music to the clothes to the locations allow the audience to be transported back to this time of excess, which again contributes to the overall message of the film. If I had to point out one major thing about this film that didn't necessarily work for me, it would be the ending. Now, I understand what they were trying to say, and I understand that this movie was basically meant to bring things full circle. But I'd be lying to you if I said it didn't feel a little bit random and unsatisfying. A twist is one thing, but this twist in particular comes from so far out of left field that it was honestly kind of hard to process it while watching it.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Maybe it will grow on me in subsequent views, but as it stands right now, it just didn't hit home for me. Bottom line, I think people are going to have high expectations for Maxxxine going in, and rightfully so. In a lot of ways, I think it was almost impossible for Ty West to live up to those expectations and find a way to please everyone. I liked a lot of what I saw in Maxxxine, obviously, and it's better than your average horror movie. But I also can't help but feel like things did feel a bit off at times as well. If I were going to rank the 3 films in the X Trilogy, Maxxxine would be my least favorite of the 3.
You didn't see that coming.
However, again, I do not want to take away from what Ty West accomplished here. He literally just gave us an original horror trilogy in the most unconventional way possible. To me, these 3 movies should be looked at in their totality as a 3-part cinematic achievement. Maxxxine is bold, it's brutal, and it's a bit more down to earth than the previous films. As with X and Pearl, it's not going to be for everyone. But for me personally, it did its job, even if it didn't necessarily blow me away like its predecessors. And that's why I'm going to give Maxxxine the pleased Palpatine.
Good.
Y'all be cool. Right on.